Welcome to Raos Academy, Hyderabad Branch. I'm Swetha. Today I'm here to teach some of the most important economics PYQs. So the first question of the day is with regarding to theme called industry. So in this context of industry, with regarding to the first question, with reference to corporate social responsibility rules in India, consider the following statements. So before getting into different statements, let me give you a brief background with regarding to corporate social responsibility. First and foremost, whatsoever the companies which exist in India, they have to be registered under the Companies Act of 2013. That is Companies Act of 2013. So whatever the corporate or that of any company which would like to establish its own company, it have to register itself under the Companies Act of 2013, and these companies has to follow the corporate social responsibility rules. And what do you mean by this corporate social responsibility is actually referred to, it is the contribution which has been given by these companies for the society. So and this corporate social responsibility includes the 2% of net average profit of a company for the preceding 3 years. For the preceding 3 years, this company's average profit. So here the corporate social responsibility is nothing but contributing 2% of the net average profit on company's profit. So that is what this corporate social responsibility talks about, and also what will include under this corporate social responsibility and what will doesn't include under it. So here it includes the 2% of the net average profit contribution to different societal activities, whereas this corporate social responsibility doesn't refer to the contribution or the contribution of company like bonuses and any kind of increments to employees, and such kind of bonuses as well as the increments doesn't comes under the corporate social responsibility. So in this context with regarding to corporate social responsibility, let's see the different statements. So here the CSR rules specify that expenditures that benefit the company directly or its employees not be considered as CSR activities. It is directly a correct statement. This corporate social responsibility, the name itself, it says the social responsibility of a corporate or a company. It has to be done to that of the society, but this corporate social responsibility activities doesn't include providing the bonuses or providing any kinds of increments to employees. So it is a directly correct statement. Then followed by the CSR rules do not specify minimum spending on CSR activities. It is an incorrect one because it has directly given that under the corporate social responsibility rules, the 2% of the net average profit has to be used for different CSR activities, and also this 2% of net average profit of preceding 3 years, which is very important to remember. So under the CSR rules, it has directly given the minimum spending of CSR activities, but here in the statement it has given that CSR rules doesn't provided any kind of specific minimum standards for CSR activities. So second one is going to be an incorrect one. So only one is the correct statement. So this is all about with regarding to corporate social responsibility. So whatever the companies which would like to establish in India, they have to register under the Companies Act of 2013, and these companies have an obligation to do well for the society under the rules called the corporate social responsibility rules, under which a minimum standards or the minimum amount has been given, which is called the 2% of net average profits of preceding 3 years. So they have to spend this much amount, at least this much minimum amount for different societal activities and also for the betterment or the improvement of the society. So this is all about the corporate social responsibility. So if you see the next question, consider the investments in the following assets. So here it has given the different assets, and here the question is how many of the above are considered as intangible investments. First and foremost, you have to understand the different types of investments or the different forms of investments. So if you see in the investments, especially which has been given under the Companies Act of 2013. Under the Companies Act of 2013, it has been classified the different investments into two categories. One being that of the tangible investment on tangible assets, and the other one being the investment on intangible assets. So here the tangible assets are nothing but those assets which have a physical form. For example, land, for example, equipment, machinery, inventory, all of those assets which have a physical form will come under the tangible assets investment. Where is that of the intangible assets? Here the investment in intangible assets refer to, for example, IPR, that is the intellectual property rights, and also with regarding to brand, that means making a brand, for example for a clothing, or for example for any product, that kind of providing a branding is also comes under the intangible asset investment. So with regarding to this particular investment classification which has been given by Companies Act of 2013, let's see the different statements with regarding to this question. Here the consider the investments in the following assets, and here the question which has asked that which of these following were the intangible investments, that means which do not have a physical form, and also you cannot touch that particular asset. So here if you see the brand recognition, so brand recognition which is an intangible asset, whereas if you see the inventory referred to equipment and again the machinery. So here the equipment and machinery refer to inventory. So whereas if you see this inventory, it has its own physical form, right? But here it has asked about the intangible investments. So second one is going to be an incorrect one, followed by intellectual property rights. And what were these intellectual property rights includes? It includes the patents, trading rights, as well as that of the copyrights. Then followed by mailing the list of clients, and this is also an intangible asset. Here it includes the mailing of different programs, which everything happens within a system, and it doesn't have any kind of physical form. So 1, 3 and 4, only these 3 were the intangible assets. The second one is the tangible asset. So only 3 is the correct statement. So this is all about the classification with regarding to investments which has been given under the Companies Act of 2013, and this is the answer. That means all of these work comes under the intangible investments. If you see the next question, India accounts for 3.2% of global export of goods. So if you see this particular statement, this is a PYQ, right? Here the data which has been given here is an age-old data, but now as of now we are preparing for 2026 exam. You have to update your data. So with regarding to India accounts for 2% of global export of goods. Initially up to 2022, the global export of goods, that means India's contribution in the global export of goods includes 1.8%, whereas this 1.8% has been increased to 2% by 2026. So here it is going to be an incorrect statement, and also before also it is an incorrect statement as it has given by that 3.2%. We never achieved before above the 2, but here it has given the 3.2%. It is an incorrect statement. So here if you see, without reading the second statement, you got the correct answer. How? Because there is only one option which says that statement 1 is incorrect, that is the option D. So without reading the second statement and without analyzing it, you got the correct answer. If you analyze the statement 2, here it is the many local companies as well as some foreign companies are operating in India which have an advantage of production linked incentive scheme. So if you see here, before analyzing this particular statement, you have to understand this term called the production linked incentive scheme. The government has come up with this production linked incentive scheme in 2020. So here the incentive will be given by the government of India with the increasing in the sales or the increasing in the production in a particular industry. For example, if you take an X industry, in 2025 its sale values 100 crore, whereas in 2026 its sale value includes the 150 crore. So this 100 crore is the sale value in 2025 and 150 crore is the sale value in 2026. If you see the difference, which is the 50 crores. So as you see, the sales has been increased, which can be determined with the increased in its sales value. So how much it has increased? 50 crore. And how much incentive will be given by the government with the increasing in the production? That is the 5% of increment of sales. So here it talks about the 5% of increment of sale. Here the increment of sale value is 50 crores. That means here it talks about the 5% of 50 crores. So here if you see, so you'll get to see it is 2.5 crore. So this particular company, because of the increment in its sales and increment in its production, this particular company is going to get the 2.5 crore as an incentive from the government side. So that is all about the production linked incentive scheme of 2020. Whereas here the statement is many local companies as well as some foreign companies operating in India have the advantage of production linked incentive scheme. It is directly a correct statement. And why the government of India has given this particular kind of production linked incentive scheme, why it has brought this particular scheme? In order to boost the domestic manufacturing. So in order to boost the domestic manufacturing, government has introduced this particular scheme, and under this particular scheme different local companies as well as that of the including some of the foreign companies were also allowed to avail this particular production linked incentive scheme in order to boost the domestic manufacturing. So with regarding to this, the option statement 1 is an incorrect one, because the India's contribution with regarding to global export of goods is only, it is 2% but not the 3.2%. So in that context, statement 1 is an incorrect one, statement 2 is the correct one. So here it is the option D is the correct statement. Then followed by consider the following statements with reference to India. So here it has talking about the micro, small and medium enterprises. Here according to Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Act of 2006, the medium enterprises are those with investments in plant and machinery between 15 crore and again the 25 crore. First and foremost, you have to understand this particular act, and again especially the definition which has been given with regarding to micro, small and medium enterprises in terms of its investment as well as that of the turnover. As you see here, it is a PYQ question. Let's solve this statement with regarding to as per now updated section. So here it is MSME Act or that of the MSME Development Act, that is the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act of 2006. Initially it has been introduced in 2006, whereas it has been amended its definition with regarding to micro, small and medium enterprises in 2025. And here according to the new definition, here it is the micro enterprise, small as well as that of the medium enterprises. So if in order to call a particular industry as a micro, small and medium, the government has come up with a definition that a particular industry should qualify with particular investment as well as with particular turnover. So in this context, as per the revised definition with regarding to micro, small as well as the medium enterprises. So firstly, its definition will be given based on the investment followed by that of the turnover. A particular investment, a particular industry has to qualify in both of these in terms of the investment as well as that of the turnover. So a micro industry, a particular industry will be called as the micro enterprise if it has an investment of 2.5 crore and again the turnover of 10 crore. Whereas in the same way, particular industry will be called as a small enterprise, then its investment has to be 25 crore and its turnover has to be 100 crore. In the same way, a particular enterprise will be called as the medium enterprise if its investment is 125 crore whereas its turnover is 500 crores. So this is the new definition. or that of the revised definition which has been given by the Government of India with regarding to micro, small and medium enterprises. So it is a very important thing. So with regarding to this data, that means with regarding to this updated definition, let's solve this particular question. So according to Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Act of 2006, the medium enterprises are those with the investment in the plant machinery between 15 crore as well as that of the 25 crore. As of now, as per the revised data, it is a correct statement. But as of for this particular PYQ question, at the time of examination, it is an incorrect one. So, but as of now, it is a correct statement as per the updated data, followed by all bank loans to micro, small and medium enterprises are qualified under the priority sector. First and foremost, under the RBI, different banks were present and RBI will regulate different banks, NBFCs as well as that of the financial institutions. Whereas this RBI gives the guidelines with regarding to priority sector lending to different banks which work under the RBI. And this priority sector lending is nothing but particular sectors will be given priority in terms of lending, especially with it which includes the agriculture, women, self-help groups, and again the different rural welfare activities. So with regarding to these particular fields, especially in these sectors, the lending has to be given in terms of the priority. That means in terms of 75% of the lending by the RRBs, that means the regional rural banks has to be given to these sectors. That means it has to provide the 75% of its lending to these priority sectors. So in this context, here it has given that all bank loans to MSME enterprises qualified under the priority sector. It is also directly a correct statement. So here the option C is the correct statement. So if you see with regarding to this particular statement, it is all about the MSMED Act. But here as of now, but for the 2026 prelims examination, it is very important to remember the revised definition of micro, small and medium enterprises. And it includes, in order to qualify them as the micro, small and medium enterprises, those particular enterprises have to qualify these particular given investment as well as the turnover. So this is all about this question. So if you see the next one, so with reference to foreign owned e-commerce firms operating in India, which of the following statements are correct? So if you see here the foreign owned commerce firms, so here what does this foreign owned e-commerce firms are nothing but, here the e-commerce firms are nothing but they are the online marketing platforms which includes the Amazon as well as that of the Flipkart. So this Amazon as well as the Flipkart, all of these were the e-commerce firms, and we can also call them as that of the digital or that of the online market platforms. So with regarding to the foreign owned e-commerce firms operating in India, which of the following given statements are correct? Here if you see the first one, they can sell their own goods in addition to offering their platform as the marketplaces. First and foremost, if you see here these kind of foreign owned e-commerce firms, for example, if we take an Amazon, the government under the FDI policy, that means that is the foreign direct investment policy, it has given few guidelines, and some of these guidelines include that whosoever these kind of foreign owned e-commerce firms which were operate in India, that particular firm shouldn't sell their own goods within this platform. Why the government has made such kind of restriction of not allowing these particular firms goods to sell within their own platform? It is because if in case if they have their own products, if they want to sell their own products within their own e-commerce firm, they were going to place their goods in a priority platform. That means whenever a particular person will search for a water bottle or that of the USB, those products who will going to be displayed within this platform include those products which were owned by these particular firms. So it will going to be a loss for the other sellers, and again the different especially small sellers within that particular platform. So in order to overcome that problem, that Government of India under the foreign direct investment policy, it has given the guidelines that whosoever the foreign company own these particular kind of e-commerce firms, they shouldn't sell their own goods within their own e-commerce firms. So but here it has given that they can sell their own goods in addition to offering their platform as marketplaces. It is going to be an incorrect one. If you see the next one, the degree to which they can own big sellers on their platform are limited. It is a correct statement. Why government has did this made this kind of limitation? It is mainly because if government do not keep this kind of limitation, there will going to be a lot of big sellers. So because of this kind of a lot of huge number of these big sellers within a single e-commerce platform, it will going to make a loss for the small sellers. So the government will allows these big sellers in order to sell their goods within that of these e-commerce firms. But here the government keeps limitation that how much number of these big sellers has to be display their products within these e-commerce firms. So in such way, government can promote the products of these small sellers goods also. So in order to overcome the issue of these big sellers products, and also in order to overcome the issue of the problems faced by the small sellers, the government has made this kind of restriction that whatsoever these kind of e-commerce firms are present within these e-commerce firms, there should be a limitation that how many number of these big sellers has to be present within each kind of e-commerce firms in order to help and also promote the goods of these small sellers. So second statement is a correct one. So here the answer is option B. Next one, here it is the term West Texas Intermediate, sometimes found in news. It refers to the grade of which of the following? What does actually this term West Texas Intermediate actually refer to? Actually there were 3 different benchmarks of crude oil were present. So here it includes the 3 benchmarks with regarding to especially in making of crude oil prices. So here firstly it includes the West Texas Intermediary, secondly followed by the Brent crude, followed by Dubai crude. So here these were the 3 most important different crude oils which were found in different countries, whereas this WTA, that is the West Texas Intermediate, were actually greatly found in the America, whereas that of this Brent crude will be extracted and again explored in North Sea. And you all know where does this Dubai crude actually explode from UAE and Dubai. So here these 3 different kinds of crude oils will act, and again the quality as well as that of the production of these crude oils acts as a benchmarks in making the prices of crude oil worldwide. So here what does this term West Texas Intermediate, this term actually refer to which of the following grade? Here it has directly given, it is talking about the crude oil. So option A is the correct statement. Followed by, with reference to trade related investment measures, which of the following statements are correct? So first and foremost, before getting into these different statements, you have to understand this particular system or that of the TRIMS, that means the trade related investment measures. Usually we have the World Trade Organization which will going to regulate all kind of the foreign investments in different countries, and also it will regulate the global trade. So under this World Trade Organization, there were different kinds of organization which will going to see the global trade, and one of it being that of the TRIMS, that is the name itself you can understand, the trade related investment measures. And the next one being that of the GATS, that is the Global Agreement on the Trade of Services, whereas this TRIMS actually works on the, this TRIMS regulate the global trade on goods, whereas this GATS organization will look over the global trade in services. And also this particular TRIMS institution will going to regulate the different global trade in terms of the goods, whereas in case of the foreign investment in different countries will be regulated by World Trade Organization. So in this particular question, let's see the different statements. So here the quantitative restrictions on imports by foreign are prohibited. It is a correct statement. So in order to overcome these kind of import duties as well as that of the restrictions, these trims has prohibited the different kinds of restrictions on the imports. So first one is a correct one, followed by they apply to investment measures related to trade in both goods and services. It is a directly a factual question. Here it has given that investment measures related to trade in both goods and services, but this trims will going to regulate the only goods but not that of the services. Services will be regulated under the GATS organization, that is the global agreement for the trade on services. So second one is an incorrect one. So without reading the option 3, you got the correct answer. So if you analyze the third statement, they are not concerned with the regulation of foreign investment. Yes, it is a correct statement. As I initially itself told you, this particular regulation of foreign investment will be looked over by the World Trade Organization but not the TRIMS organization. So option 1 and 3 are the correct statements. C is the correct statement. Followed by consider the following statements. Here the coal sector was nationalized by Government of India under Indira Gandhi. If you see this particular first statement, what do you mean by this term called the nationalized, or this particular term called the nationalization? Here the term nationalization refer to the conversion of a particular private company into that of the government company, and how? Through buying the shares of this particular company. So in order to nationalize a particular private company into government company, the government will going to buy at least 51% of the shares from a particular company. So buying the 51% of the shares or owning 51% of shares in a particular company, it is going to become a government company, or you can also call it as the public sector undertaking or that of the public sector enterprises. Whereas these are the enterprises which work directly under the purview of the government, we call it as the public sector enterprises. So here the term nationalization is nothing but the government is going to own such kind of particular companies is called the nationalization. Whereas here the statement is coal sector was nationalized by Government of India under Indira Gandhi. It is a correct statement, and also this coal sector has been nationalized by the Government of India under Indira Gandhi twice, and when? In 1971 as well as in the 1973. Whereas in case of the 1971, the nationalization of coking coal mines has been done, whereas in case of the 1973, the nationalization of non-coking coal companies have took place. So first one is a correct statement, whereas the nationalization of this coal sector has been done under the Indira Gandhi, and also it happened twice, in 1971 as well as in the 1973. If you see the second statement, now coal blocks are allocated on lottery basis. So how can you even imagine that this is such an important core sector of India that can be allocated to different miners through lottery basis, even though you do not know whether it is a correct statement or the incorrect one? Just using a logical imagination, you can understand that it is an incorrect one, because such kind of important core sector of India cannot be given to someone for exploration on lottery basis, right? If you analyze this particular second statement, so here there is a particular act called the Coal Mines Act, that is called the Coal Mines Act of 2015. So under this particular Coal Mines Act of 2015, this central government as well as that of the state government, they were responsible in giving license and also in regulating the different mining companies in the mining of these coal blocks. So second one is an incorrect one, first one is a correct one, right? So let's cross the two. So if you see the third one, till recently India imported coal to meet the shortages of domestic supply, but now India is self-sufficient in coal products. So if you see this particular third statement, the second part of this third statement is very vague and again the narrow. India never going to be self-sufficient in this particular coal sector, even though India has placed in the second place in terms of having the coal reserves as well as that of the coal production. So it is a very narrow as well as vague statement. So in that way, second one and third one, both of them are the incorrect ones. Only one is the correct statement. So here the question is, which one of the following is the purpose of Uday, a scheme for the government? So first and foremost, if you see this term Uday scheme, what is the full form of this Uday scheme? It is the Ujjwala Discom Assurance Yojana. So if you see the full form of this Uday scheme, that is the Ujjwala Discom Assurance Yojana, this particular scheme's aim is in order to provide and also in order to overcome the financial as well as the operational inefficiencies of different discom companies or that of the power distribution companies. So the main aim of this particular Uday scheme of Government of India is in order to overcome the financial as well as that of the operational inefficiencies of different power distribution companies. So with regarding to this particular scheme, let's see the different statements. Providing technical and financial assistance to startup enterprises in the field of renewable sources of energy. It is not talking about the startup entrepreneurs. It is actually talking about the power distribution companies or the power discoms. So first one is an incorrect one. Providing electricity to every household the country by 28. It is not about the provision of providing electricity to every household. Then followed by replacing the coal-based power plants with the natural gas, nuclear, solar, wind, tidal power plants over a period of time. It is also not talking about this particular kind of replacement project with that of from non-renewable to that of the renewable sources of energy. So it is also an incorrect one. Followed by providing for financial turnaround and again the revival of power distribution companies. It is directly a correct statement. So option D is the correct statement with regarding to this particular term, that is called the Uday scheme, and the full form of this Uday scheme is Ujjwala Discom Assurance Yojana, and its main aim is in order to overcome the financial and the operational inefficiencies of these power distribution companies. So option D is the correct statement. Followed by, what is the purpose of District Mineral Foundation in India? So before getting into this District Mineral Foundation in India, let me give you a brief background with regarding to a particular act called Mines as well as that of the Mineral Development Act of 1957. Whereas this Mines and again the Mineral Development Act, which has been established in 1957, whereas this act has been amended in 2015, and in this Amendment Act of Mines and Minerals Act, this particular foundation, that is the District Mineral Foundation, has been established. And the main aim of this particular foundation, from the name itself you can understand that it is an foundation. That means its main aim is in order to help those people who got affected by different mining activities and again the different relocation process activities. That means in whenever a mining or exploration of minerals takes place in a particular area, there will be definitely some kind of migration activities will going to happen. That means migration of people from that particular mining area to some other area. So the main aim of this particular foundation is in order to help these migrated people. So if you see the different statements, promoting mineral exploration activities in mineral rich districts. It is not talking about the exploration activities. Its main aim is the welfare activity of these migrated people. So first one is an incorrect one. So without reading, you reached the correct answer. Then followed by protecting the interests of persons affected by the mining operations, which is directly a correct statement. Who were those people who were affected by the mining operations? especially the migrated people and also that of the workers who work in these mining operations. So second one is a correct one, followed by authorizing state governments to issue licenses for mineral exploration. Under this particular act, the state government as well as that of the central government will provide the licenses to different companies who came for auction, but that doesn't mean that its aim is different. Its main aim is in order to promote the welfare activities, in order to fulfill the interests of the people who got affected by these kind of mining operations. So option 3 is an incorrect one. So the correct answer with regarding to District Mineral Foundation is option B, that is only 2. Then followed by, with reference to the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency Limited, which of the following statements are correct? First and foremost, you have to understand this particular organization, that is the IREDA, that is Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency Limited. So if you see the history as well as the origin of this particular organization, under the Company Act of 1956, this particular IREDA has been established in 1987, and this particular IREDA works under the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Even though if you do not know under which ministry this particular organization works, if you read its full form, that is, it talks about the renewable energy development, right? So then obviously it will works under the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. And later this particular IREDA organization, that means which acts as a public sector undertaking, that means it is a company which is owned by the government of India. It got a status called the Navaratna status. Usually whatever these kind of public sector undertakings or any kind of enterprises which work directly under the company, they will be given with the different statuses based on their performance. So which includes the Mini Ratna, Maharatna as well as that of the Navaratna. Whereas as of now here this particular PSU got the status of Navaratna. This is all about the starting brief introduction with regarding to IREDA. Whereas in case of 2023, under the RBI, this organization, that is the IREDA, has been given with the status of NBFC, that is a non-banking financial company. So with this status of non-banking financial company, now this IREDA can provide loans to different renewable energy projects. So in such way it has been evolved from a PSE to that of the NBFC. So in such way, let's see the different statements with regarding to Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency Limited. So here it is a public limited government company. It is a directly a correct statement, as I initially told you before. It is a PSU, that means the public sector undertaking. Then followed by it is a non-banking financial company. It is also a correct statement, because by 2023 this IREDA organization or this particular company has been announced as an NBFC by the RBI in order to provide the financial assistance to different renewable energy projects. So both of them are the correct statements. So option C is the correct statement. Then followed by what are the recent policy initiatives of Government of India to promote the growth of the manufacturing sector? So it is talking about something called manufacturing sector. Then followed by setting up of national investment as well as that of the manufacturing zones. So if we talk about these particular zones, it has been brought under the National Manufacturing Policy of 2011. Under the National Manufacturing Policy of 2011, this particular policy has mandated for the establishment of National Investment Manufacturing Zones. Whereas these are the zones which are nothing but, these are a particular land area where you'll get to see the establishment of industrial townships. That means you'll get to see the better infrastructure as well as that of the different varied fields of companies and again the factories which work in this particular area which has a advanced technology, and also it consists of the residential areas of the workers who work within these industries. So it is the main aim of this particular National Manufacturing Policy 2011 is the establishment of national investment and manufacturing zones. And the main aim of these manufacturing zones are nothing but include the establishment of industrial townships. If you see the different statements, so here the main aim is it's setting up of national investment manufacturing policy, which is a correct statement. Then followed by providing the benefit of single window clearance. It is also a correct statement. And what do you mean by this particular term single window clearance refer to? So in order to establish a particular industry in a particular area, they need to cover, and also they need to go through a lot of paperwork. So in order to especially paperwork from a particular one ministry and again another department and also from another firm. So from in order to overcome this kind of cumbersome or the tedious process, the government has come up with the single window clearance. That is within a single portal or the single window, they can do the entire paperwork at one place itself. And why government has come up with this kind of initiative of single window clearance? In order to improve the ease of doing business. So second one is also a correct statement. Establishing the technology acquisition and as well as that of the development fund. It is also a correct statement. All of them are correct with regarding to that of the manufacturing sector. So and all of these initiatives comes under the National Manufacturing Policy of 2011, under which these kinds of zones will be established, and single window clearance option will also be given to different industries establishment. Then followed by in India, the overall index of industrial production, the indices of 8 core industries have a combined weight of 37.90%. And which of the following are those 8 core industries? Usually, especially in the industrial sector, there are a particular group of industries were called to be as that of the core industries. Why we are calling them as the core industries? Because these industries were greatly responsible for the greater performance of these industries, and also they act as a foundation for different infrastructural activities, and these includes the coal, steel, and again different kinds of industries. So if you see, it has given an index, that is the index of industrial production. If you see this particular index, this index actually talks about the performance of all these kinds of 8 core industries, whereas this index will be released monthly by the National Statistical Office under the Ministry of Statistics as well as that of the program implementation. So under the Ministry of Statistics and again program implementation, the National Statistics Office works, and this National Statistics Office is responsible in publishing this index of industrial production monthly basis. And this index of industrial production is responsible for providing the performance of these 8 core industries, whereas this is the background with regarding to this index. But here the question it has asked about that which of the following were those 8 core industries. And first and foremost, you have to remember these 8 core industries and also the weightage that have been given to these 8 core industries. Firstly, it includes the refined products or the refined crude products or the refined petroleum products, then followed by electricity, then followed by steel, followed by coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement, followed by fertilizer. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these all 8 were the 8 core industries which acts as the foundation in different economic activities in India, and all these 8 core industries have to be remembered in the given weightage. That means these refined products have the greater weightage than that of the remaining, and these have to be remembered according to the weightage which has been given for these 8 core industries in this index called the index of industrial production. So here it includes the refined products, followed by electricity, followed by steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement, as well as that of the fertilizer. So here you have to recognize, and also you have to determine and which of the following were these 8 core industries. So here if you see, cement is a correct one. You can see cement, then followed by that of the fertilizer is also correct, manufacturing gas, as well as that of the refinery products. But these textiles were not a part of these 8 core industries, right? So let's cross the 5th option. So here the 1 to 4 are the correct, and 1 to 4 these sectors were part of these 8 core industries. So this is all about the index of industrial production, and again these 8 core industries. Then followed by, despite having large reserves of coal, why does India import millions of tons of coal? So if you see the different statements, it is the policy of India to save its own coal reserves for the future and import it from other countries for the present use. Don't you think it is very vague as well as a narrow statement? It is an incorrect one. It is not the mindset of the government or anyone in order to save or in order to reserve the reserved mines in order to use it in for the future use. So first one is an incorrect one. So without reading the different statement, you reach the correct one. If you analyze the second statement, most of the power plants in India are coal based and they are not able to get sufficient supplies of coal from within the country. It is directly a correct statement. So if you see in India, the power generation will be achieved through different ways, especially through coal. That is the thermal power plants. That means the usage of coal in the power production. Those kinds of plants we will be called it to be as thermal power plants, and the different other sources includes the renewable energy sources in the power production. For example, solar photovoltaic cells, followed by that of the wind breaks or that of windmills, and also hydroelectricity production. So all these were the renewable sources of energy, whereas from the non-renewable sources of energy, that means the power production from the coal, that is through the thermal power plants. So here in order to produce the power from these thermal power plants, you require coal, right? Whereas this coal requirement can't be achieved from the reserves present in the India. So we need to import this coal in order to achieve our power requirements. So that's what second one is talking about. The second one is a correct statement. Followed by, steel companies need a large quantity of coking coal which has to be imported. First and foremost, if you see the coal, it is of two types. One being that of coking coal and the other one being that of the non-coking coal. So if you see this coking coal is the highly qualitative coal which includes the very less impurities, so that it takes very less amount and also less expensive in order to use this coal in the power production. But import of this coking coal is very expensive. So in order to produce the steel, this coking coal plays a huge role, and also it is a very important input in the steel production. So here the steel companies need a large quantity of coking coal which has to be imported. As of now in India, from the coal reserves, we have a lot of non-coking coal but not the coking coal. So we need to import the coking coal from different countries, especially from Australia and again the United States of America, in order to make a better quality of steel in India. So third one is a correct statement, where we need to import huge amounts of coking coal because of not having the better coking coal reserves in India. So second and third are the correct statements. So option B is the correct one. Followed by, the SEZ Act, that means the Special Economic Zones Act, which came into effect in February 2006, has certain objectives. So in this context, let's consider the following statements. So if you see here, the SEZ Act, so you need to understand with regarding to SEZ Act. Here the SEZ Act includes, which has been came into existence in 2006, whereas this act has been brought in 2005, whereas the special economic zones have been brought into force from 2006. And what do you mean by this kind of special economic zones refer to? It refer to those kind of particular zones where you'll get to see the greater infrastructure as well as that of the greater incentives. That means those zones where the companies will going to get the greater incentives. That means in terms of the financial incentives and also in terms of the tax incentives. So whichsoever the company which will going to establish its industry within these kinds of special economic zones, they will going to get the greater amount of incentives, especially tax incentives as well as that of the financial incentives, and also they will be provided with the better infrastructure, especially the world class infrastructure, so that in such way the government wants to promote the ease of doing business. So in promoting the ease of doing benefits, government wants to improve its exports. So that is the main aim of these special economic zones. In order to improve the incentives infrastructure, it like to attract the investments in these kind of reasons. So in improving the ease of doing business, it like to improve the exports of different goods and services. So that's what it is actually the special economic zones talks about, and these are the different statements it has been given with regarding to special economic zones. So development of infrastructure facilities, which is a directly correct one. Promotion of investment from foreign sources, it is also correct statement. And why government is providing the different kinds of tax investments, tax incentives in order to attract the investment from foreign sources. So 2 is also a correct statement. Promotion of exports of services only, it is an incorrect one. These special economic zones main aim is the promotion of exports of both goods and services, not only services. So 3 is going to be an incorrect one. So option A is the correct statement. Even though you do not know the different statements with regarding to that, you can easily understand that these kind of special economic zones were responsible for providing the exports in order for the promotion of exports of both goods and services, but it has given only services. Just crossing the third option without knowing the first 2 statements, you can reach the correct answer. That is the option A. Then followed by, consider the following statements. I'm sorry. Yeah. Here the question is, which of the following are not correct? Here it has asked the incorrect statement. So if you see the Rourkela steel plant, the first integrated steel plant in the public sector of India, was set up with Soviet Union collaboration. First and foremost, you have to understand the geographical location where this steel plant actually located. This Rourkela steel plant has been located in Bhilai, and this steel plant is an integrated steel plant. What do you mean by this term integrated steel plant refer to? This term integrated steel plant refer to all the processes from the mining of raw materials to that of the production of the high quality steel. So all these kinds of activities will take place within a single industry or the single factory. That is called the integrated steel production or that of the integrated steel plant. That means it is a plant where you will get to see all the processes from the extraction of raw materials to the production of high quality steel. Whereas here it has been given that this steel plant has been established in Bhilai in collaboration with the Soviet Union, but in actuality it is not the Soviet Union, it is the Germany. So here in collaboration with the Germany, the government of India has established this Rourkela steel plant in Bhilai. So here the first statement itself an incorrect one, but let's see the remaining also. Then followed by Salim steel plant is a premier producer of stainless steel in India. It is a correct statement. And what is the location of this Salim steel plant? It has been located in Tamil Nadu. It has been located in Tamil Nadu. Then followed by Maharashtra Electrosmelt Limited is a subsidiary of Steel Authority of India. It is also a correct statement. Followed by Visakhapatnam steel plant is a unit of Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited. So here if you see all of the last 3 options are correct one. The option A is incorrect one because this has been established in collaboration with the Germany but not with that of Soviet Union. So option A is the incorrect one, as the question has asked about the choosing the incorrect statement. So option A is the correct one. Which of the following committees recommended the abolition of reservation of items for small scale sector in industry. If you see, it has given the different committees where you have to spot and also you have to determine what is the main aim of these kinds of different committees. If you see the first one, that is the Abid Hussain committee, and the recommendation which has been given by this Abid Hussain committee is this, that means for the abolition of reservation of different items for the small scale industry. If you see this Narasimham committee, it has given the banking reforms recommendation. Then followed by the Nayak committee, it has given the recommendations in order to provide the credit facilities for small scale industries. Followed by Rakesh Mohan committee. This particular Rakesh Mohan committee has recommended for the establishment of small saving schemes or that of the small saving certificates. So among the given different committees, it is the Abid Hussain committee which has given this recommendation. So here option A is the correct answer. Then followed by which of the following statements are not correct. Here the question is, it is talking about the incorrect statements. So here if you see, it has asked about the India's rank on the global platform. So if you see here, all of this data was it is an outdated data. It is the question from 2000s, but we are now living in 2026, right? So let's solve this question according to that of the current or that of updated data. India is the second largest producer of nitrogenous fertilizer in the country, which is a correct statement. Then followed by India is the second largest steel producing country in the world. It is an incorrect one. It is the India is at the second position in the steel production. Followed by India is the second largest producer of the silk production. It is also a correct statement. India's rank is second. India ranks second in silk production. Followed by India ranks third in the world in the coal production. It's not third, it is actually second. So India ranks second in the coal production also. So here if you see that among the given statements, in all of these sectors, India ranked second in the global sector. So here it is the option 1 and C are correct, whereas that of the B and D are the incorrect one. So here we have solved this question as per the 2026 data. So if you see the next one, during the year 2000 to 2001, which one of the following industries recorded the highest growth rate in India? So if you see this particular question here, it is talking about the growth rate, that means incremental growth in different kinds of sectors. So here it is a 2000 to 2001 question. So now let's solve this question with regarding to that of the 2026 data. That means the economic survey which has been given in the 2026. That means 2025 to 26. So here if you see this term growth rate, here the term growth rate actually refer to the percentage of change in growth which has been observed in these sectors. For example, if you take a cement sector and initially it will make 10 lakh crores. From 10 lakh crores, it has increased its value, that means increased its sales to 20 lakh crores. So what's the change? It is the 10%, right? 10% is the called as the rate of growth, or you can also call as that of the growth rate. So 10% is the growth rate of this cement. That means 10% is the incremental growth in this cement sector. So in such way, it has asked about the growth rate of these sectors. So according to 2026 economic survey, it is the cement as well as that of the steel sectors. In these two sectors, India have achieved a huge growth rate among that of the remaining sectors. So it is the both cement as well as that of the steel according to that of the 2026 economic survey. I think the lecture is informative. Thank you.